G'day everyone, Duckville here. We're going to bring you a very long TvT here from the Korean server. This is going to be Grandmaster level. It's going to be action-packed and all sorts of crazy stuff going on. We're going to have our Red Terran starting off in the top here. It is EnQ. He's a Grandmaster level player. He's sitting around about, I think it's around about the 100 mark on the Grandmaster League in Korea, the Korean server at the moment. I think around about there, I'm not exactly sure. It was just the last time I checked it. He's going to be playing against a very famous player down in the bottom left-hand side. You will, of course, know him from GSL and from one of the high-level top pro teams in the scene. It is LiquidJinro. So he's going to be down here in the blue, facing off against his Korean opponent. Very, very long distances between these guys. I'm expecting just some basic, obviously they won't be able to see how far they are at the start, but you can expect this map will probably go to a macro game pretty quickly, given that this is a pretty common map to start off with some fast expansions. This replay is taken from the This Week in Replays number 16 pack on teamliquidpro.net. Jump on there and you can grab that yourself. Have a look at some of the replays in there. There's actually, unlike the previous weeks in the replay packs that Team Liquid have been doing, this one is actually featuring just a lot of the players from the team. We've got Ret, Hero, Jinro, TLO, and all of the other guys are there as well. So there's some really cool games in there, some very short ones, some very interesting cheesy ones I think I saw as well, but this one stood out for me, so we're going to cast this one and then perhaps maybe get a couple of the other ones going very soon as well. Happy holidays and everything to everyone, of course. I think I've missed that out in the previous cast which I just put up between Hongan and Magician. If you haven't seen that game, go and check that one out. That is absolutely awesome. But I hope you've all had a fun time, and it's almost back to work, back to school time for everyone, no doubt about that. So hope you will enjoy some more casts coming up very soon. It has been a bit quiet for me, but I'll be putting up some more blog posts on duckvillelol.com and also getting a lot more casts going, so you'll be able to check that out very soon. There should be a blog post. In fact, by the time this commentary gets up and running on the channel, so make sure you jump on the site and have a look at the recent post. It's going to be talking about what the plan is for this year and what I'll be trying to do with the commentaries and with just the general my particular presence in the StarCraft 2 scene. But enough of that random ranting. Let's have a look at the game. Both of these guys starting out with a very, as I said, I was actually expecting them to expand pretty quickly, but it looks as if these guys are just going to stick with a basic opening, 1 racks from each of them. It looks as if EnQ has gone a little bit differently here, getting out of Tech Lab so we can get a Reaper on the way, and we can see now that Jinro is actually just headed inside the base and is probably going to scout out that that Reaper is about to pop out. We can see just going to try and head out now. He's not going to get too far. The Reaper just a slight amount faster than that SCV, but now Jinro has decided that he's going to be able to nicely expand here. Of course, a couple of Marines popping out, the command center going down at the natural. He's nice and safe at the time being. Marines won't be able to stop this SCV before it gets vision on that command center, and meanwhile back at EnQ's base, he's got a couple of extra racks coming up. It looks as if he's just going to go for a fast expansion there off the 1 racks and then hitting up another 2 as well. Jinro is going to be getting a factory instead, so he's going to be doing this a little bit differently. Perhaps we'll see some mech. TvT, of course, an interesting matchup in regards to how you play it. Of course, everyone will know about the recent little, I don't know if you'd call it a fight, perhaps a little disagreement between Artosis and EnQ regarding mech. That was obviously a little bit more about TvP mech, but in this particular matchup, of course, we see a lot of bio games, we see a lot of mech games, and there's a little bit of a difference between whether bio is better or whether mech is better in this particular matchup. Of course, there is the Artosis camp, you could say, that looks at the fact that mech is much stronger when you control it correctly. So we'll see if these guys are going to control correctly. As I said, it looks as if Jinro may go for the mech a little bit quicker, but just at the moment he's going with just a very basic sort of opening, grabbing a factory, a starport, and got the Tech Lab there. In fact, going to go for the Cloak Banshee straight up. Going to try and put some pressure down on EnQ as best as he can. Going to try and probably head up the side here, come up to the mineral line and just go to town on those SCVs, or perhaps he may go for the ones left at the natural. But we'll see how that goes in just a minute. 3 Reapers, meanwhile, from EnQ are out, and they are going to be able to push inside the base here. he can easily take out those Marines. We'll see what happens here. Is he going to be able to micro correctly? One of the Reapers taking some damage, taking out one of the Marines. The Hellions now coming back inside, lining up those Reapers, and they are taken down quite quickly. Only 2 Marine losses there, along with, I think there was, yeah, the one SCV that was building, unfortunately building this refinery, was taken out quite quickly there by the Reaper group, and it looks as if Jinro is going to try and do some of his own harassment, going to send up a couple of Hellions to try and put some pressure on. Maybe he could just make put some damage perhaps on the Marines. That would be a great way to utilize these Hellions. We can see these Marines do have their combat shield. They have +1 on the way as well. So these Marines getting very teched up straight away here for EnQ. He wants to be careful though, because of course if you get some damage taken off by these Hellions, that actually means that this impending Banshee, which is just flying up through the right side of the map, will be able to take out some of those Marines. But it looks as if Jinro is going to multitask here, try and take some shots on those Marines, burning down one of them, going to be pulling them out of the battle here. But it looks as if the Banshee meanwhile has taken out the SCV, trying to build a turret, taking out an SCV or 2 perhaps. Looks as if he's just got 3 kills at the moment. We'll be able to maybe take out another Marine, does indeed, and then the Banshee is going to be free to take some shots at this supply depot. The one problem with the way that EnQ is set up here is that he does have to run around between each of the bases when he wants to get some defensive measures going. And here we go, the cloak now online for Jinro. We don't have another Banshee coming in, but a scan going down. The Marines have decided it's go time, trying to take out that Banshee before it can get out of range, but it does not get taken down. And now the turret completed. This harassment should be effectively over, depending on how EnQ decides to handle this, but he is going to be pulling those Marines back for the time being. The one problem he's got to watch out for are these Hellions. They could try a little bit of a run by, but they're not going to be able to get too far past this bunker. And now the Cloak Banshee still hanging around. It's a little bit interesting, and yeah, I think Jinro is definitely going to go for a mech style here. He's got a couple of extra factories on the way, as we can see here. Blue Flame is just completed for his Hellions, so they're going to be doing a little bit of extra damage as well. The third command center on the way for him. Once he gets a few of those tanks out, he'll be in a really nice position to actually take down his third base and get that up and running. And then once you've got that third base pumping and a lot of gas coming, you can be in a really nice position for a mech play. Meanwhile, we've got EnQ setting up with a lot of racks here. We've got the factory floating away, a surefire sign that he is going to go for bio, at least for the initial part of the game. We do see some players switching over to mech after a little bit of bio harassment and drops and that sort of thing, but it's not as common. But we'll see how he's going to play that out. Jinro, meanwhile, setting up more and more Hellions here. He's got 4 in the mix down at this side of the map. They do have blue flames, so they'll be doing quite a lot of damage against those Marines. The Marines, however, there's a great number of them, so they should be able to fend back those Hellions for the time being. Meanwhile, another Banshee coming in here for Jinro. This is the second Banshee which was created here. It's not going to get too far. The Marines snapping the neck of that Banshee like absolutely nothing at all, and it looks as if Jinro is going to have to sit back for the moment with his harassment. One big thing about playing a mech style is that you do want to really get some harassment going and try and deny your opponent from getting their economy going as fast as you are, because of course the mech units cost quite a lot. They cost a lot of gas, as we can see here. The tank's costing 125 gas. If you're going to go for the Thor variation, you need 200 gas for each of those, and of course the Hellions take a little bit of minerals as well, not much gas at all, in fact no gas, so that should be okay to build them. But what Jinro will need to do for now is just sort of hold out for the moment until he can get this third up. He is putting a siege tank down on that. It's going to take some shots, and it looks as if there may be some pressure coming across here from EnQ. A bunch of medevacs actually flying over a Marine that was standing on the Zelnaga watchtower, so this is not going to be a surprise party at all. Jinro is going to be well prepared for this, putting up a turret inside the natural expansion. The Marines now dropping out. They're going to take out the SCV. The turret is not going to get too far as well. The Hellions being pulled inside the natural here, and now it looks as if the second part of the drop is going off here. Jinro is going to have to get these Hellions back inside. They do burn down a lot of these Marines. A siege tank off to the side will provide the ultimate defense against all of those Marines, and that will be that. That drop easily squashed there by Jinro, but now looks as if he has a secondary drop again just down at the natural expansion here. The SCV is pulled off the line for a moment. The siege tank is the only one available to take care of that, and it does, squashing all of those Marines with the shells from afar, and that was some okay harassment. He got a little bit of damage done, took out a couple of SCVs. We'll have a quick look at the worker kill tab. Looks as if we've got Jinro sitting up at 9 worker kills in total. Meanwhile, EnQ has only taken down 6, so it wasn't a huge amount of damage done, but it was a little bit. Got to stay inside the game there, and if you're not, then you're in a lot of trouble, especially if you're facing up against mechs. So EnQ looks to be going for his third. He does have a command center built and switched over to an orbital straight away inside the natural expansion. Just having a look at the upgrades for these guys, we've currently got +2 to weapons and armor on the way for the infantry forces of EnQ. He does not have any of his armory upgrades going, of course. You don't really need that when you're not actually building anything, unless you want to get some armor for those medevacs. That'd be crazy, like a tank medevac build. That'd be insane. But Jinro now moving across to take his third as well. Got the gas set up already. As we said before, a big part of mech is getting that gas income. Minerals is hardly ever a problem when you're playing mech. You do have that problem of the gas though, so that's one big thing which Jinro is going to have to keep an eye on. As we can see on the resources at the moment, both of these guys are generally using their resources quite nicely here. A couple of tanks are going to have to help out with the defense here, but Jinro is doing nicely here, getting his production up. Is a little bit supply blocked at the moment, but he does have to worry about defending this attack. As we can see, EnQ trying to push in through the bottom side here, where there are a lot less amount of tanks trying to attack there, but 3 tanks along with those Hellions as well. This is not going to go too far at all, but the tank is just a little bit out of range here. Cannot actually hit any of these units except for that one unfortunate Marine who strayed in too far. And now this attack, while it did get a little bit of damage done, was not really that useful, but he's put a bit of pressure on, which is going to keep Jinro on his toes. You don't want to let a Terran mech up behind closed doors, and if they do that, then you'll be in a lot of trouble. So just having a look at the production capabilities of Jinro here, we got a 4th command center coming up. We got 2 factories with reactors on top of them, so they'll be cranking out the 4 Hellions at a time. We got 2 factories with the tech labs to pull out the tanks. We've got an armory pulling up +2 to vehicle weapons, so that's going to really increase the damage done by Jinro's forces. Jinro now being well aware that there could be some drop harassment coming from the side of his base, so he's going to get some turrets up along with another sensor tower. He's done a beautiful job putting up these sensor towers so he knows exactly what's coming in. Just looking at this attack here, we've got the Hellions at the front. They're going to tank a little bit of damage here while the rest of the tanks lay down siege on those the Marauder Marine forces there. They're going to have to pull back for the moment here. There are just too many tanks set up here to get any damage done, not to mention with +1 doing 55 damage to those Marauders, and then of course the Marauders doing their own damage of 24, which isn't too bad at all. But it looks as if we got a drop coming in from Jinro. He's going to lay down some Hellion flames all over this base. He is not going to get too much done. Some Marines and Marauders are sitting inside that the main base there for EnQ. Meanwhile, a secondary attack now pushing through the 3rd base of EnQ. He's not going to get too much done here. EnQ beautifully defended here at the moment. Ironically, these command centers will help him out here, but now a secondary attack from the side, going to take out some of the Marines left defending the mineral line here. SCVs and mules now lining up. This could get a little bit ugly here for EnQ, starting to take those down, but they will not be able to escape. In fact, one of the Hellions does escape. Will the medevac, though? That is the big question here. The medevac not being controlled very well. 2 Vikings coming in and denying any further pressure from those Hellions. So Jinro doing a nice job with his harassment. Just looking at the worker kill tab, that is a fantastic amount of workers killed for Jinro. He's got 23 worker kills at the moment, 95 unit kills in total. Of course, that is a little bit skewed by the fact that the Marines will just get absolutely splattered all over the wall like an episode of Dexter when they get hit by those tanks. But it's still quite a large number of deaths there on Jinro's hands. But looks as if we've got the... Where is that? Is that the... Yes, it is. Where is it? It's right there. That's the Corvid reactor, which hardly ever gets seen in TvT, but it looks as if Jinro's going to get it up and running. Perhaps we will see some Raven play with heat-seeker missiles. I would love to see that. But what he's going to need to do is still get some more gas. He's currently sitting on the 3 bases. He's got a 4th now up and running. Some medevacs ferrying down a couple of tanks to make sure this base is protected. Mules getting landed and in massive numbers here. Planetary Fortress on the way, along with some defensive measures as well. We got this Venn diagram of sensor towers here protecting this area quite nicely here for Jinro, so he's going to be well aware if any attacks are coming in. Now with some Hellions now pushing out, he's going to be able to get some more vision on the map. SCV switching across to head down to that fourth base, but now we've got an attack at the third base of Jinro. He's going to lose perhaps one of these command centers, maybe even two, depending on how far EnQ decides to push in. Just having a look at this battle here, the Vikings up to the top are going to lay waste to all of those medevacs here, and now it's all of the tanks have sieged up here. Jinro is going to absolutely crush this, but will he be able to save this orbital command before it gets killed? Hellions currently sitting off to the side, not sure what they're going to do against these Marauders. The Marauders now just going to town on that orbital command. It goes down, and that is a great little victory there for EnQ. Now trying to push up against these tanks. If he can downsize the army here, that would be absolutely huge for him. He does take out quite a lot of those tanks, but Jinro, macroing furiously, is currently sitting up at 177 supply. Just having a look at the SCV count, we've currently got him sitting on 66 to the 54 of EnQ. EnQ really needs to look at taking bases on the map, like right now. He needs to grab a couple more, perhaps take this one. He does have, oh no, that's a factory still hitting up down there at the 6 o'clock position, but I would love to see EnQ take a little bit more of the map. Of course, the problem with Mech, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, was the fact that it's a little bit more immobile than Bio, which means that EnQ can actually run around to defend his bases a lot better than Jinro can with his Hellion tank army. And now trying to assault this planetary fortress. Has got a lot of medevacs, a lot of Marauders, sorry, shooting that planetary, but it's not enough. SCV's repairing. These tanks are a little bit out of range to stop the refinery from being destroyed, but now it looks as if Jinro is deciding it is go time. He's got some medevacs, some Vikings, we've got some Hellions, some Ravens as well, so things are going to get a little bit crazy here. We've got a total of 9 tanks now pushing up along with this force. This is not the whole force of Jinro. He's doing a great job defending with a couple of tanks at the various expansions here to make sure that they are defended, and a few Vikings spread out as well. But now Jinro's probably going to look to slowly creep up here, a little bit like playing against the Zerg. If he can siege up just around here and get some tank fire going on this natural expansion, he'll be able to take that down quite easily. But the problem is going to be if he can get a good position. Meanwhile, this bioforce of EnQ is now maneuvering around the map. In fact, he's got these Marauders on 3-3. They're going to do a massive amount of damage here. Jinro has decided it is not a good time to try and take on that force, but it is going to go anyway. We've got Ravens now for Jinro. They do not have Seeker missiles just yet. They do have a lot of energy stored up, so the point defense drones will certainly help out with that. Meanwhile, the Hellions getting absolutely smashed there by the Marauders. Marauders now trying to push through through to the third base, perhaps. If they can get across there, that would be quite nice for them, but they're not. They are going to be contested by this planetary fortress, and Jinro now moving some of his forces down. He's going to need to get these units out of the mid, but I don't think that's going to happen. A little bit too focused on this battle. The planetary fortress is going to go down. The SCVs high in number, though not enough to repair quickly enough, and it looks as if while this bioforce has done quite a lot of damage, I think it is going to get smashed apart by the retreating forces of Jinro. But it looks as if EnQ is not afraid of anything here, taking on these siege tanks. Going to remove all 4 of those, now trying to push inside with these Marauders. The Vikings sitting up in the sky, not able to do too much at all. Jinro is going to lose a few more units here as well. The tanks now coming in from the side. Jinro going to have to siege them up quite quickly here. The Ravens putting down some point defense drones, helping out quite a lot. And that was a decent attack there from EnQ. It's put him in a good position. He's removed the third of Jinro. There's no other command center up just yet. He's now getting this one up to replace that one at the third now. But look at this fantastic macro from EnQ. He's sitting at 195 supply. He's looks as if he's just he's about to sacrifice. Perhaps is he going to What is he doing with those SCVs? Oh, okay, right. The base over at the 3 o'clock position. So he's going to head over here, probably put down some more mules and get everything rolling here. As we can see, EnQ not as phased about getting gas as his opponent is, but it looks as if he's still going to do quite a lot of damage to this planetary fortress with this bio ball. The 3-3 on those Marauders, tearing apart buildings here. As we can see, Jinro finally getting into position here. Point defense drones, Banshees, and now tanks moving into position here. They do clean up the rest of the forces there, but as we can see, see, we've got EnQ with a massive amount of racks. We've got a total of, we got at least 10, maybe more racks here for EnQ, so he can just smash out all of those bio units again, getting big Marine, Marauder, and Medevac balls up and running again. Now we can see Jinro starting to push across the map. A little bit uncertain about these Vikings. Perhaps could land some of them to add to the mix here, but I'm not really sure, given that he could be under threat of perhaps potential Vikings from EnQ. But EnQ now pushing into position here. Notices that there is a whole bunch of siege tanks there. Despite that, still pushing in. He's got to contend with the point defense drones as well, which have denied quite a lot of the shots. And now Vikings are denying the medevacs as well. So this is going to this could move into Jinro's favor here. This powerful mech, of course, giving him a lot of strength in these pushes here. If he sieges up correctly, does not go too quickly, he will be able to push in and just do a lot of damage to EnQ. And now EnQ is going to be in a little bit of trouble here. His production facilities are almost in the firing line of Jinro at the moment. Jinro slowly leapfrogging his way across with those tanks, and the tanks currently at +2 to their weapons are doing 60 damage to buildings and marauders. And they're going to slowly just tear apart this base here. Jinro doing this beautifully here with these tanks just slowly moving through, not pushing too far, not all of them at once. Always want to have some of your tanks siege when you're moving forward like this. You can't just unsiege everything, move it all forward, and then say, hey presto, I'm going to win. You need to do it very slowly here. Looks as if EnQ has decided he's going to use some very cute tricks there, dropping down a couple of mules. It looks as if we're going to get a second one here. Going to actually take out one of the tanks of Jinro here. Beautifully done, but now the problem he has is that Jinro is all over his production facilities like a crazy man, and now EnQ has decided he needs to push and take out some of these tanks. The tanks are getting a little bit low. A secondary attack flanking in from the left-hand side here. Vikings finally dropping down, noticing that there's not too much for them to kill, and it looks as if EnQ may actually defend this, and he will hold out for the time being. The Vikings lifting off and taking out some more medevacs before they retreat. Or perhaps they're going to stay on board and get some more kills going. I'm not sure that's the best idea. But Jinro, meanwhile, setting up some more Hellions to harass this base of EnQ. He's got free reign over this base. There is nothing here to defend. This is an orbital command, so no defensive measures of the planetary fortress are available. SCV is getting absolutely slaughtered here by these Hellions, and the Hellions will generally escape. 3 of them are going to escape there after that very nice sniping attack there from Jinro. Meanwhile, back at the base, Jinro has his this third base back up and running here. The fourth is interestingly mining not very well there, but it looks as if he's going to get some more mining switched over to this particular base. Going to get that second gas up. Still has he has 2 SCVs in the gas. Where are they? There must be some of these SCVs over here, but while we're ranting on about that, Hellions meanwhile have pushed into the third base of EnQ with not too much available to defend. He's going to lose a few more SCVs, maybe one more. Nope, he doesn't get another one, but he's doing a great job of denying the economy here of EnQ. EnQ is now mined out in the main. We've got this this third base almost done as well. Of course, the natural has been absolutely decimated. While there is a little bit of gas left, it's probably not worth it to put down another command center. He's going to focus on getting this base up and running nicely, and then of course this base here and this additional one here as well, which has a planetary fortress finally. But Jinro, meanwhile, is switching over, getting a few Banshees out. It looks as if he's decided that the weakness of the army of EnQ is this very high Marauder count. Now, of course, the Banshees do rip through Marauders, especially when they're getting their level 2 weapons upgrade, and they'll be doing a huge amount of damage to this Marauder ball. And Jinro is going to be looking quite nice if he can keep up this production, get his supply count just up a little bit higher, and he'll look very, very pretty. And EnQ, meanwhile, he's going to need to rebuild some of these racks. He's a little bit low on the racks count at the moment, but that sort of coincides nicely because his income is not where it used to be, but he's still sitting quite nicely here. He's currently sitting on 53 SCVs, 48 for Jinro. Of course, he's got a few mules to go with that as well. But now, looks as if EnQ is deciding to try and push into this side, into the 4th base here. Double planetary fortress defense along with the Banshee, Raven, Viking defense here from Jinro. So he's going to hold the main planetary fortress here at this base. I really like that second one. That was actually very cute there to make sure that he was defended even extra strong. But now he's only got one of them there now, so he's going to be a little bit worried about that. Both of these players, just keep in mind, where is it? There it is. Both of these players actually have Corvid Reactor and the Hunter Seeker missiles, so a little bit confused. I don't think we've actually seen anything from either of these guys in terms of utilizing that, but it looks as if Jinro's a little bit more fascinated with dropping in some Hellions to say hello to the various expansions of EnQ, and now in fact even a Cloak Banshee coming along here, going to take out some of these SCVs, denying mining. We'll see on the income tab that'll slip down just a little bit here for EnQ. It has dropped down just a little bit to around about 1600 here, and now Jinro perhaps going to deny this extra expansion from going down. This is something I feel that EnQ should have done a lot earlier in the game. Upon spotting that Jinro was going for a mech style, he should have been taking these bases in the corners, should have taken this one a lot faster, and just generally taking his bases a lot quicker, because as we said before, the one problem with going for a mech style is that it can be hard to get around the map and do some harassment besides having the Hellions. So it just seems a little bit odd there that EnQ was not prepared to take bases all over the map. Even taking them as a risk is a good idea. Like, you may not be able to secure them fully, but if you can keep them mining for a short period of time, you can actually still get nicely ahead of your opponent, build up a nice bioball, and try and counter them that way. And then, of course, we're still sort of waiting for the battlecruiser switch. Neither of these guys have got a fusion core down, so we're not going to be doing any dancing just as of yet. So we'll have to wait and see which one of these guys is going to look to do it. In fact, there you go, bam, right on time. Where is it? We've got the fusion core building here for EnQ. He's decided it's go time, getting another starport as well. He currently has 3 inside his base, although 2 have reactors on them, so he's not going to be able to get any battlecruisers out of that. Imagine if he could react a battlecruiser. That'd just be ridiculous. But speaking of ridiculous, Jinro's micro has been fantastic this whole game with these Hellions, doing a great job running around the map, denying SCVs from mining. Even just this little period of time that these guys aren't mining means a lot in the context of the game, especially when you're going to make a switch to battlecruisers. That you can deny that gas from coming in, you can deny the minerals as well, and now really kicking it into overdrive here is EnQ. He's got a few Vikings on the way. He's going to make sure he's got some air defense for these battle cruisers once they come out. Terran ship level weapons 3 are going to be out for EnQ as well. The one little issue he's going to have is actually getting the battle cruisers out. He's just preparing for it at the moment. He's got these extra bases up and running, getting the gas income at these extra sides of the map here. As we can see, Mule's going down on the minerals just to get what minerals he can, while the SCV is focused on getting the gas coming through. So he's just preparing for that switch to the battle cruisers here. In fact, getting Cloak, I'm not actually sure what the point of that is, but he's going to be able to get some Cloak Banshees out. Meanwhile, just a little bit of a battle here over the Zolnaga Watchtower just at the southern side of the map. Marauder's doing a lot of damage against these Hellions here. As we can see, the siege tanks down to the side are not all siege. Very interesting from Jinro, but it looks as if they will be enough to defend at the moment here. And now the Marines deciding they want to take a piece of the Vikings, and Hunter Seeker missiles finally coming out there, disposing of a massive group of Marauders and Marines there. Beautiful work by Jinro to get those out and get them to actually hit something. That was actually quite cool. Haven't seen that for quite a while. I think the last time we've seen Hunter Seekers in a big game like this is back probably at MLG. Which one was it? Was it Raleigh, where we had Boxer versus Rain? Those insane games but where they had some Hunter Seekers, which was a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll see some more of that in this one. And Battlecruiser number 1 has started here for... No, he's... Wait, where is it? It's up here. Alright, cool. It's up here. He's got one battlecruiser coming out at the moment. In fact, the second one has been started as well. We got Vikings starting to come out in massive numbers, as we can see here on the unit tab. We've currently got 24 Vikings out for EnQ at the moment. He's got, along with that, 3 Banshees, so they're going to help out with taking out some of the ground units of Jinro. And he's still got this very decent-sized bio force, which he's going to need to get rid of very soon. I would suspect he's probably going to use that to defend this base up here. Meanwhile, Jinro just pushing through. He's going to try and get rid of this base if he can deny that gas from coming in. Look at that, smashing through the planetary in no time at all. These tanks absolutely tearing that apart here. And now we can see the Jinro is going to move back for the moment. But Jinro really needs to secure another base. He's currently looking at effectively just one mining base at the moment. If he can get another one up, he'll be in a really nice position. But it looks as if the Vikings are going to battle here. Hunter-Seeker is coming out for Jinro. He's going to be able to chase down these Vikings here. Will EnQ be able to separate the targeted Vikings out? That is the one thing you want to try and do. If you are targeted, there it is. Unfortunately, Jinro putting down 3 Hunter-Seekers on the same Viking. Not the best way to utilize that particular tool, but either way, he did force the Vikings back. And just looking at the Viking count itself, currently sitting at 26 to 16. Jinro is going to be in a little bit of trouble here. The forces of Jinro are a little bit depleted in terms of the energy available, but he does have one Raven get sniped away by the Vikings here. Now, with the battle cruisers starting to move in, he's going to have a little bit more firepower to try and deal with these battle cruisers here. But as we can see, a couple of tanks of Jinro are just randomly moving around the map. They're going to siege up and lay waste to this base here. Not too much mining here apart from the gas, but that's the big thing that EnQ has to worry about, as we can see on the production tab. In fact, no, he doesn't. He's actually got a whole heap of gas. What's going on here, son? He's just got a lot of Vikings coming out, I suppose. He just wants to make sure he's controlling the sky. If he can keep Jinro's Vikings at bay along with the Ravens as well, he should be able to just sweep through this with a minimal amount of battle cruisers. As we can see at the moment, he's only got 2 battle cruisers out on the map at the moment here, and they do have effectively full upgrades there with their 3 on their ship weapons. It has no armor upgrades on those just yet, but it looks as if Jinro is going to tear apart this Bioforce, trying to get that in to downsize some of those tanks. And now we can see more Hunter-Seekers coming out, disposing of almost every single Viking that was in that frontal part of the attack for EnQ, and he's lost a massive amount of his air force here. That could even seal the deal here for Jinro. Now with this huge amount of Vikings out for him, he should be able to deal with this, but the battle cruisers still at full health for all of them. The Vikings now trying to deal with the battle cruisers very, very slowly here. Nice micro here from Jinro. He's just slowly picking apart these battle cruisers, taking shots, and then ducking away a little bit of, it's a little bit like the stutter step micro you see Bioforces use, but now things have just massively swayed in Jinro's favor, destroying the Viking pack that EnQ had available to him, and then taking out the first few battle cruisers as well. I'm just still a little bit worried about the bases here for Jinro. It looks as if he's going to try and take this base here. There's actually a turret there which is going to take a few shots, but the SCVs and the tanks will no doubt deal with that quite swiftly. And now the tank's just moving through, cleaning up the rest of that base. Vikings, meanwhile, just trying to come through here. They're going to take out the point defense drones, which is completely pointless, but it is going to clear up the battlefield for him just a tiny bit. As you can see, there's one left here, but it's got no energy. The unit count currently sitting at 9 Vikings for EnQ. He's against 12 Vikings of Jinro. As you can see, they are floating around at the moment. And now this base, I do actually like taking this base here for Jinro. What it does mean is that he's got a forward position here to control this part of the map. He's going to be able to deny this base, as we can see here, EnQ being well aware that these tanks are going to siege up there and take that out. Planetary Fortress going to be in trouble as well. These extra tanks are going to take this down. Even if they don't, they can take out all the SCVs. And the SCVs are just taking a break here. They're just having lunch. They don't care that this is going to go down. In fact, there you go. It's all done and dusted. So EnQ now currently sitting on no mining bases apart from this little tidbit here that's only got 95 minerals left over. Things are looking really good for Jinro right now. He's free to take this base if he needs to. If he needs to get his macro going, he can take this one and also this one as well. As we said, this fortified position here for Jinro is a fantastic maneuver. Just making sure that he has this side and he's controlling it quite well. And now long distance mining here. These SCVs aren't going to have a good day, getting sieged from the top of the ridge there by these 3 tanks who are having a lot of fun. 8 kills, 7 kills, 5 kills, looking very nice here for all of those tanks, and Jinro is just looking very nice at the moment. But EnQ is not done yet. Going to try and get a command center done at this base down here. He knows that this is free. He's done a little bit of scouting with the Marine and as well as as a factory that's just sat here effectively the whole game. So that's quite an interesting little situation there. Viking battle here. We've got Vikings on the ground and Vikings in the sky, dropping down a couple of Hunter Seekers there, only taking out one of those Vikings. Very interesting there from Jinro. That did not actually get too much done, but now this is very cute here. We're going to have a battle where Jinro is probably just going to sit over the top of these Vikings for the time being and not let them lift up, and that means that the tanks of Jinro can float around the map a little bit freely. But it looks as if we've got to drop inside the main of Jinro. Going to pick up those factories because he's going to need them if he wants to get any more production going. But this is a beautiful counter here from EnQ. If he could take out some more of these factories, not to mention some of these supply depots, that would really help him. But he's still in a little bit of a dire position at the moment here. He's going to try and get what damage he can while the rest of Jinro's forces are out. Just they're just going to sit back. They're not actually going to come and help. There is one tank here on the low ground which is going to get vision from the buildings and the air units as well, but the rest of these forces are going to go uninterrupted while they storm through Jinro's base. Jinro's supply is starting to fall. In fact, he is absolutely capped by the minimum now. He's currently sitting on 113 over 71. That's about to go a little bit lower, 63. So he's not in the fantastic position he was before, but of course, given the fantastic army that he has out on the map, he's got a superior amount of Vikings. The Vikings of EnQ are trying to get some damage done while they can, but now we're going to have a Viking versus Viking battle here between Jinro and EnQ, and that could be it, because now the Vikings are dead. We've only got these bio forces here, but he does have this base up and running, so you know, perhaps we could see something very crazy coming out from EnQ here. If he can pull a victory from this, I'll be very surprised, but Jinro has just got an absolute choke on this map at the moment. Chokehold on this map at the moment. He's now going to switch into, looks as if he may try just get some perhaps just some basic bio forces up and running. I'm not actually sure if he's going to switch into it or if he's going to stick with the tanks, but he did lose a couple of those factories. Lost two of them, so he's only got the 1 and the 2 sitting here down at this this 4th base here, and I think that's only, yeah, we've only got 1 Rax. We do have a factory off to the side. This guy is just hiding out. He's not up for a battle, so he's just going to sit over there. Meanwhile, EnQ is just starting to looks as if he's going to try and group up some of his forces here. We've got a lot of Marauders. We've got a few Marines as well. We're currently sitting on a unit total of 22 Marauders, 6 Medevacs, and 21 Marines against 11 tanks, 13 Vikings, a Hellion, and a Medevac for Jinro. So Jinro is he can effectively sit back right now. He's got all of these tanks defending quite nicely here. He's going to take this base over here, which is going to be a very nice 3rd base for him to keep. And he's just going to be in a really decent position, can get his army back up and running. In fact, he's building a couple of starports here, may even switch over to his own battlecruiser very, very soon. And that would effectively be the game done and dusted right there. Now the Medevacs try to come through the side here. Unprotected section of the map here for Jinro. He's not going to be aware of this, but there are a couple of tanks left over. That's not going to be enough to defend against this huge bio force that's going to come through from EnQ. This is going to be his last stand, I would think. He's going to try and get some damage done. If he can take out the orbital command, perhaps some of these buildings here, he'll be in a really nice position to come back. But Jinro now sitting at 97 supply, getting a little bit low there to the 142 of EnQ. EnQ is going to have to deal with these Vikings eventually, but at the moment here, he's just cleaning up the rest of these tanks. The tanks doing a huge amount of damage to the bio forces on the ground, and this is going to get cleaned up. The Vikings are going to drop down on the ground and try and just deal with the rest of these bio forces, but more and more is building up here for EnQ. He's currently sitting at a supply of 102 to the 86 of Jinro. Has this base down here. Effectively, these guys have just sort of moved positions around the map. It's really crazy. But EnQ sitting, he's sitting nicely. He needs a little bit more production, perhaps. We got a total of how many we got here? We got 8 racks in total. We got around about 6 starports, but he's not able to use those just at the moment. Nor does he need to. I would think he's not going to get back the air control, given that Jinro has those 11 Vikings out. What EnQ is going to try and do is just cripple the rest of the production capabilities of Jinro. We can see a Banshee coming out here of that starport. That's not going to get too far if it flies that way, so it heads to the side. Planetary Fortress going down, Factory going down, and Jinro is losing a little bit more of his production capability here. We do have a starport out. Remember that Jinro does have cloaks, so if he can run around the map, there are no Ravens out at the moment for EnQ. So if he can get some cloak Banshees up in decent numbers, he'll be able to run around and just cloak up and take out some of these forces here, especially if EnQ loses some of these Marines here to these tanks, but it looks like he's going to actually take out one of the tanks first, going to take out the command center before it finishes building. Extra tanks now sieging up to the side. They're going to take out some of these forces here. Vikings dropping down on the ground, helping out with the defense there. A great job from Jinro to hold that base for the time being. He's starting to get a little bit low on his tank count. Only got 4 tanks, got to spread them very carefully, but what he is doing is making sure that this base is secure. He's got some turrets up. Gonna get this mining nicely here. One mule just having a smoke break here, camping out in the minerals. Not really sure what that is, but Jinro's found these extra bases for EnQ. Got a couple of Hellions inside the blue flame, doing quite a lot of damage to those SCVs. Gonna try and retreat with what he can. He does get out with that medevac, and the medevac will live to fight another day. And it looks as if Jinro is just trying to get back some of that map control, get some of that harassment going. But just looking at how things are going, he's sitting. This is sitting very, very interestingly here between these two players. We currently got a supply of 140 of a Bioforce, mainly along with SCVs for EnQ, and he's then contested with the tanks of Jinro, along with a little bit of an air force here. We got some Vikings out. We got a couple of Banshees, more Banshees being produced as well, along with some more tanks. So I think if Jinro can get his bases up and hold them nice and tight, he'll be in a good position. But if he can't keep this harassment up, that's going to be the one issue he has to deal with, is getting the harassment done on these various mineral lines of EnQ, because this is effectively the only reason why EnQ still is in this game. Let's face it. Because he's got those bases up and running, but now he's actually denying the production around the map. Very good, love to see that there from EnQ. This is that one factory from the start of the game that's still alive, now floating around to various bases to get some damage done. But Jinro, as we can see here, actually has that factory that was camping off to the side is now hidden and is producing Hellions. Going to use that for the harassment. We can see that the Hellions originally that were in this medevac are being taken out. That medevac almost dying there, but one turret dealing with that Banshee quite easily there for EnQ, so he's still sitting quite nicely here, mining on this base here, and he's getting a nice clump of bio units up and running here. Just looking at the medevac count, that could be an interesting factor here. 9 medevacs out for EnQ. He's going to lose some of those though. The Viking control of Jinro is just fantastic. Now pushing up the left-hand side of the map. Planetary Fortress is prepared for defense. Tank off to the side. Vikings and Banshees are going to come along here and try and get some defense done as well. This bio now getting a very aggressive here, pushing inside. Vikings going down as well. Tanks off to the side are going to be able to help with the defense, but they are not going to be here in time to save these orbital commands that were here. And now Jinro is losing some of his capability here, but look at the bank that Jinro has stored up. He's currently sitting on almost 3k minerals and 2k gas, so he's sitting quite nicely at the moment here. Now trying to get an interesting wall up and running here. If he can get that up, that'd really help with his defense. But now we can see EnQ pushing across the map. 184 supply with some Vikings, some Marauders, Marines, and Medevacs. And now it looks as if he's going to stim up some of these units here and try and push through. Got a secondary flank coming in from the side here. Going to sweep through and clean up the rest of these tanks. I think this could be it from Jinro. Jinro attempted to get some counterattacks done, but not enough. The Hellions are not going to be able to take down this mineral line as best as they probably could have done, but fantastic game there between these two players. High level Terran versus Terran at its finest there. We saw some Vikings, we saw Banshees, battle cruisers, we even saw Hunter Seeker missile. Very crazy from Jinro there, taking out quite a lot of Vikings with that, but unfortunately just not able to secure this base after losing a lot of his production capabilities down here in the main, and then also down here at the third base as well, where he had a couple of extra factories. He was just a little bit stuck in his economy because he had to mine up to get some more factories built, and then of course the time invested means that you have to wait to get some more mech units out. So looks as if he was perhaps going to try and switch into some more Banshee play, but not able to get there in time, and EnQ EnQ has swept through. So hope you guys enjoyed this very long TvT. Thank you for sticking with me through this entire game. If you have liked it, make sure you subscribe, you press that thumbs up for the like button. Say hello to me on Twitter at DuckvilleLol, and also you can catch me on duckvillelol.com and facebook.com/DuckvilleLolSC2. And we'll have some more games coming through very soon. Cheers.